think I know just the place.
Boom! We're back. Alright, so today I want to jump in. You know, we're going to be doing a couple more videos. This is just a little solo one. Quick snippet to go out on some of the smaller platforms, but the bigger one's coming out on YouTube. So, just all, you know, be ready for that. Before we get into today's podcast, you know, I don't get paid by anybody, but just wanted to show you guys just my aware. It's pretty good. It's really good for recovery. A lot of people ask, you know, about recovery, and one of the things that I do now with how much I train is I don't have time to go to a massage therapist as much as I want to. So this little kit with this little gun, there's videos and links on my Warzone account, so you guys can go there to check out more. But yeah, this thing is pretty kick-ass, so check it out. MyAware MRT, it's a good one. Alright, getting into the topic today. So a lot of people are trying to figure out how to lose weight and also, you know, just live a healthier lifestyle. And with weight loss, it can be pretty difficult. A lot of people attribute going to the gym often as hard as they can. You know, so they get a little discouraged that they think it's going to take this immense amount of effort, and it does, but there's little things we can do on the side, specifically nutrition, that people don't realize, and just overall body composition that we're going to talk to you all about. So getting into the BMR, what is it? It's the Basal Metabolic Rate. So pretty much the definition behind this is, in the time I just talked to you in this opening, I burned X amount of calories. In the time that I talked in this opening, you burned X amount of calories. It's different. That's BMR. You might be an ISBB pro bodybuilder with 2 times the muscle mass as me, and you just burned more calories than I did. We'll get into this in a minute. Or you might be somebody who's watching this trying to figure out how to get your BMR up, and it's slower than mine. We're all in a different basket. So by no means do I have this incredibly high BMR that nobody else has. It's a ladder, and you got to be wanting and willing to climb it. So let's start right off. I like this analogy a lot. It really helps understand the BMR and how it operates in a simple layman's terms, because it can get pretty complicated science-wise, and I don't like to get too much into that because it just starts to confuse people and they get overwhelmed. So topic number 1, there's going to be 4 of them. We're going to go number of meals. So there's 2 things here. You have how many meals you're eating a day, and then you also have when are you eating, the timing of these meals a day. Both of these are in conjunction with one another, and they're both pretty important factors on increasing your BMR. So not everybody fits into this mold, but if you were to say you were eating 3 meals a day, right? If you go to 5 or 6 or 7 meals a day, your basal metabolic rate is going to increase. And then it's going to increase and then optimally increase based off of how you time these meals throughout your day, and also in conjunction with your workout. So increasing and then optimally increasing are 2 different things, which is why you need to have both of these in conjunction with one another if you want to really get this going. So the layman's term analogy that I like to use for this, think about a coal train. Now, back in the day we had trains that ran on coal. We still do, but maybe not so much anymore. With the coal train, you know, if the guy in the front of the motor, the engineer, if he didn't throw coal in that motor in the morning, you know, when they were getting ready to move the train to go on their route, the train would never move. It would be stagnant. And after he gets the train to go by putting in the coal to get the train to move, it's only going to go so far based off the first batch of coal. And then it's going to become stagnant, slow down, and eventually it's going to be coming to a stop. That's how a train works. Not so much exactly how your metabolic rate works, but we're going to get into this. So therefore, we now know that he not only has to put the coal in right when he gets up, they want to get moving, and they want to get on their day. He also has to now put X amount of coal in, and he has to do this optimally throughout the day, because sure, he could just throw coal in every second, but that's just a lot of work on him. It's not efficient. So he's found through being an engineer when to put the coal in the motor to keep it running optimally at cruising speed throughout the entire day, and using a minimal amount of energy on him exerting the coal into the motor. So he's figured out X amount of coal at these amount of times. And that's pretty much how the train moves optimally. Now, your metabolic rate isn't going to come to a dead stop like the train does, but think about the analogy that in the sense that when you wake up and you skip breakfast, you are coming out of a fast. That's where the term breakfast came from, break the fast. So if you wake up and you don't eat food, absolutely anything, what's happening is you're allowing your body to stay in that fasted state. And it's going to be in a slow metabolic rate. And you're giving yourself nothing to do internally to help stimulate this metabolic rate in the process that helps it go, which is it's giving it food. It needs to break down something. It needs something to do. It needs a job. And if you don't do that, it's going to be stagnant. So with that whole analogy, after you give it food in the morning, I'd say within roughly about a half hour, we can get in all sorts of different things, like eating real whole foods like eggs and stuff might upset your stomach, versus you can do protein shakes in the morning and maybe some oats and slam it down like a drink, and it might not affect you as much. But depending on your digestion, you're just going to have to find out, what works for you, because it's just part of the game, and it's just a hurdle you're going to have to overcome. So after that, now you also know that if you don't implement more food at a planned time frequency, your metabolism is going to slow down. Now again, what I said earlier was it's not going to stop. It's just going to slow down to the point where it's not optimal. You're burning an suboptimal amount of calories throughout the day. You want to burn as many calories as you physically can while you're watching this video. And to do that, you have to do exactly what we're talking about. So if you had, you get to the system where you're eating every 2 hours, you have your macros planned perfectly where you can burn these calories off in 2 hours. Or maybe you're going to the gym and you're going to burn a little more, so the post-workout meal is a little heavier. You figure out and fine-tune these things. But number of meals and timing, coal train analogy, run with it. All right, now we're going to get into number 2, protein. So we got protein is pretty big for a lot of different reasons. One of the things it does with the metabolism is it's got a thermic effect of food. So basically, it's how hard and how much of this nutrient are you going to absorb per calorie. So, and then on the flip side, how hard does your body have to work to break it down? So there's this little value. It's a thermic effect. It's called the TEF of food. You can look this stuff up, and it's pretty interesting, but protein is the king in this category. So is it going to increase like a tremendous amount of calorie burning throughout the day? I would say it's going to help. And the reason why it's important to me is because these all compound with one another. And obviously protein has many things, which we're going to tie into the most important thing, and this is why protein is essential. It is no matter what. Like, just because I'm talking about the thermic effect of food, and then on the flip coin, I also want to talk about satiation real quick. Does it really affect metabolic rate? This is a little off topic, but most people graze to have a problem with eating too frequently and not allowing enough space in between meals, and they're just grazing like cows on the grass. So protein, what it does is when it goes into your body, you can't start chemical digestion, and this is thermic effect of food too. How hard is it to break down? When you ingest protein, a little thing I like to tell people is put a piece of bread in your mouth, let it sit there, don't chew it. It's going to break down and turn into mush over time. Why? Because you can chemically digest carbs with your salivary amylase in your mouth before you actually start to chemically digest it in your stomach. Mechanical digestion is just chewing. Everything gets broken down by mechanical digestion. Protein, on the other hand, it cannot be chemically digested orally. So what happens is the salivary amylase might try and break down protein, but it can't. It cannot be denatured until it gets into the acidic part of the process, which is your stomach. So it remains pretty much unfazed outside of mechanical chewing until you get to your stomach, which is why when you eat steak and chicken, you're like, oh, that's a little hard. It's really sitting in there. It's making me full. Why? Because it's satiating. It's you got ghrelin and polypeptide YY hormone. It suppresses and stimulates them to increase satiation and increase hunger and appetite. So it just makes your body work harder, and it also makes you less hungry in the future. So it's kind of a win-win situation when you're trying to lose weight and also trying to scientifically make yourself a fat-burning machine like a lot of us bodybuilders are, that people just don't understand. It's not just working hard. It is, but there is science behind what is happening internally. So this is what we're going over today. Okay, so with protein, right, I want to just give you another thing that protein does. It's the primary response for muscle building and hypertrophy. So when you go to weightlift, you get these little micro tears in your muscles. They get damaged. They need to be rebuilt. They want to grow because they say next time we do this, we don't want it to be that much of it. We don't want to get broken down by that weight next time, because that's not happening. We want to be efficient. We want to be able to the point where genetically we can handle anything that this person is throwing at us without damage. So that's basically the gist behind growth. Protein is going to help with growth tremendously. The amino acids go in there and they do all this stuff, but we're going to keep on topic here with BMR. So we'll get into that again, but just on another side note, try and shoot for a gram per pound of body. This is going to give you a gram per pound, not kilo. This is going to give you an optimal chance to build hypertrophy. And with that said, that's going to be a direct tie into muscle mass. How do you increase your BMR in the most optimal way? Over anything. There's nothing that can beat this. Build muscle. The more muscle mass you have on your body, the higher your BMR is going to be. This is why I'm burning more calories than most of the people watching this video. Well, unless I got a lot of friends on here that are watching it who are natural competitors, or even IFBB, NPC, these guys probably are going to have either just as much as me or higher. But for the average human, these people do not have what we have in terms of BMR. Why? Well, yeah, you could say we eat the right stuff and we do all this and do all that little nitpicking stuff, but the big thing at the end of the day is we have more muscle mass than they do. And that is exactly why we have a higher BMR. It is the biggest contributor to this. Muscle mass is the highest BMR increaser because muscle tissue has the highest energy demand in the human body. And when you have more muscle mass, you just have more of an energy demand. Always. This is why I have to eat more food than the average guy that's 6'2", because he's not 230 pounds of muscle in the off season that needs to maintain this or try and grow it. It's just not it's literally not a demand in the body. His BMR, unless he has like hyperthyroidism, is genuinely going to be lower because of that fact. And going into this, I want to hit the last thing on the head here with this demand of energy here. It kind of ties right into, if you want to increase your basal metabolic rate, people are going to love this one. They're going to run wild with it. You can't fast. You can't. You just simply cannot fast. Why is fasting going to do this? All right, so internally with your body, you have mechanisms that prevent death when you starve, okay? One of the things it's going to do is when you enter a fasted state and you're starving your body, you're depriving it. Going back to topic number 3 real quick. It knows immediately what is causing the highest energy demands on the body. And it's going to do one thing. It's going to say, well, this guy's got a lot of muscle mass, and it's not vital for survival to have muscle mass. And this muscle mass that this guy has, we're in the middle of the desert and we're starving. He's got way too much muscle. We need to eat this down because it's not vital for survival. We want to save as much visceral fat as we can for the end, because when we die, that's going to be the most calorie dense macro left to help us survive as long as we can. The other thing it's going to do is when you're in a fasted state, your body is going to learn to convert more substrates into lipids. Why? Because when you're fasted, your body thinks internally it's going to die. It does not know when it's going to get another meal again, so it starts converting into a caveman-like, very primitive survival state. Calories per gram, your body knows fat packs the most punch at 9. It is over double what carbs and proteins can store per gram at 4. So it knows that it needs to start storing an abundance of these kind of calories in order to survive longer in a fasted state. So you're actually teaching your body to store more fat. And then with that, going back to what I said before, your body actually slows your metabolic rate down, because the faster your metabolism's running, the more you're burning. The more you're burning in a starvation state, the faster you're going to die. It's literally that simple. So fasting is just a terrible way to try and increase your basal metabolic rate. Fasting to me in general is a very terrible way to live. I would not advocate anybody to fast to lose weight. It is just a very silly way for somebody to lose weight. And to me, you really just got to go through the motions and really figure out what is the optimal number of meals a day for you. Figure out that optimal number of carbs, fats and proteins, and we got videos for these that we're going to go over, so just stay tuned. On that note, I just want to say, like I said, appreciate everybody that watches. We're going to be doing a lot more of these, and on that note, we are out of here.